From SF Land, this is Dorking Out, a podcast for people who love to dork out about movies, TV, and everything pop culture.
Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and I know how you feel. You don't know if you want to hit me or kiss me. I get that a lot. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Hey, my friend. I'm working on my stilted acting.
This week, we are dorking out about 1990s Dick Tracy with my mighty, mighty good man, David Tracy. No relation. There's no relation, right?
I do have a great Uncle Dick.
I
do have a great Uncle Dick, yeah.
Was he a cop?
No, the family, so I was told, and I might have been lied to, but I was told that he knew Chester Gould, who wrote the comic strip, but I think that's just a fake story. I don't think there's any actual relation.
All right, well, let's pretend it's real.
Okay.
It's more fun that way. This movie is written by Jim Cash and Jack Epps Jr. They also wrote Top Gun and Dorking Out veteran Secret of My Success. And it's based on the comic strip by Chester Gould, and it stars Warren Beatty, Al Pacino, Madonna. Does she go by Glenne Headley?
Yes.
Glenne. Yeah. And then Charlie Korsmo and Dustin Hoffman. There's actually like a huge cast. Like I could just start listing like a crazy amount of people. Dick Van Dyke is in it. Charles Durning, Mandy Patinkin. I could just, Catherine O'Hara's in there. James Caan. And then I read that Kathy Bates plays the stenographer, but I didn't even recognize
who that was.
I knew she looked familiar, but I was like, I didn't get like a good look at her. But that's, she blew up like later that year with Misery, so she wasn't a very big star at the time. And this movie is directed by Warren Beatty, and it was supposed to be like the new Batman. Like Batman had come out the year before. It was super huge, and so this is kind of when comic book movies really started becoming a thing. And so Dick Tracy was going to be the next big thing, and there was all these like movie tie-ins and like McDonald's cups and all that stuff. Did you see this one in the theater, Margo?
No, my boss did. I worked at the mall in Pleasanton, shout out Stone Ridge Mall. And my boss and her husband went to a midnight showing, and you had to wear the t-shirt and you wore a mask, and it was at the San Ramon Theater, and they fucking did it. And they told me the next day, I said, how was it? Like, we both fell asleep. Like, what were we thinking? It's tough. We're too late. It's up too late. And they said that they think it looked really good, but they were like, they didn't remember it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I'm not paying for that. So I waited until it came out on video, and it pretty much is what I remembered it to be.
Oh, interesting. I saw it in a theater in Laramie, Wyoming.
What were you doing there?
I was visiting a boyfriend I had at the time.
Ooh.
It's a whole other shit show story that maybe we could share for What a Creep. But
your husband's on the other line.
So I didn't do the whole like seeing it at midnight and getting the t-shirt and all of those things. But I remember seeing it at the time and having that kind of, it looks really cool reaction to it, but not really connecting with it. And then I enjoyed it more on this rewatch, more than I did that first time. And I certainly haven't watched it a lot. It's not something I've gone back to over and over. David, did you see it in the theater?
Yes.
Of course you did.
I did. It was marketed like crazy.
And did you like it at the time?
No, all right, so this is a sad tale.
I love a sad tale. All right, everyone, cue the sad music.
Yeah. Grew up in the shadow of always being, that was the thing you called me when I was little. It's like, hey Dick Tracy. And of course, I grew up personally like loving Dick Tracy because it was a comic strip. He was a detective. He was named after we shared a name, and I always liked that kind of noir, cool detective stuff anyway. So I had a lot of expectations and hopes when I went to go see this movie. So I was let down.
Oh, poor young David.
Yeah. I know. I wanted it to be a good franchise. I really did.
Yeah, because it looks great. Like, it's very cool looking.
Yeah,
but
it's gorgeous.
It's almost like they didn't know what to do with Dick Tracy himself, because Dick Tracy's kind of a square. He's
he's not much of a personality.
Yeah.
I mean, as played by Warren Beatty, who's actually really great at comedy and is a very good actor and engaging. He just like takes all that about himself and just said, nah, I'm just gonna, wear the yellow coat and just go from scene to scene.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bad choice, because I just don't, Dick is never human to me.
Right.
I don't care. That's what we're talking about the movie Dick. We also talked about the movie Dick a few months ago, but I never really cared about Dick Tracy, and I feel bad for Glenne Headley as Tess Trueheart.
Yes.
I think because I think she's such a great actress, and I think it's a waste of a part for her.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Madonna, because I give her a hard time. I mean, I think she's a little awkward, but she's never looked more beautiful, and she's working hard.
She is. That's true. That's a good way of putting it. She is really, really trying.
She's really trying, and it's like to make it work. And it's like, I don't think like the Sondheim music is good for her. I think it's great for the movie.
Right.
But if you get Stephen Sondheim, why would you cut up his songs with dumb action scenes? And then I thought Charlie Korsmo was really good, and I love Al Pacino in the movie. I think he's silly and over the top. But I just think there's not enough heart here for me to connect to it. It's just kind of artifice, the whole thing. And so I don't connect with them as people.
You never know why Dick Tracy's such like a good guy who's always going to do the right thing. But I don't know. We don't get any insight into him. It's exactly what you said. Like, he doesn't seem human. And I kept thinking about how, shh, honey, sorry, everybody. This is what happens when...
There's another
husband
little
and
Tracy
wife
running
record.
around.
There's
kid.
another Tracy running around.
Here comes the kid. When do we eat?
When do we eat?
When do we eat?
Now you can hear him singing. It gave me a new appreciation for Captain America, who is also a total square, who does the right thing. But he had personality, and you really, really care about Captain America, and you don't want anything bad to happen to him. And it's not like I wanted bad things to happen to Dick Tracy, but I didn't really feel for him, and I really feel for Tess Trueheart. Like,
and she's doing her best with the part, but I mean, they don't give her, like I said, they don't give her much to do. And I felt bad for Madonna, because they just kind of slap her around and drag her from like scene, literally from scene to scene. And supposedly that's what really happened to her. And I think there's really great people in here, but they're under pounds and pounds of makeup, and it's cool makeup, but it's not expressive. There's no CGI. Yeah. So I just kind of see like the molding around the faces too. So I don't know. I really appreciate now like why I like the Avenger movies, especially Endgame, because I actually care about the stakes and I care about everybody involved.
Right.
And here it's just like everyone is just sort of like they're two-dimensional. That's all I can say.
Maybe that was by design, because they really want it to look like that comic book movie. They want it to look like a comic book. So I don't know.
Well, they didn't. I don't know. They really, because the source material is super two-dimensional.
Right.
And the comic strip was actually pretty violent and hard-boiled, like especially for like a daily comic strip. It was kind of nuts in some ways. But like Tess Trueheart in the comic strip, like she really is just bland damsel in distress, and Dick Tracy is just, loves her, idolizes her, and just does nothing wrong ever. So it's kind of, she's not the most interesting thing. And I remember when I watched the movie, I thought like, oh, the kid's so irritating. But actually on the second viewing, he actually bothered me less.
I liked him
than when
the
I
most.
watched it in the theater. Yeah, like I remember not liking him at the time, the first time I saw it, and now I caught, oh no, he was all right.
No, he's human. He's the only one who's I think he's really acting, to be honest with you. Or I can see his face.
Yeah.
And there's stakes. He's an orphan. He's trying not to get, picked up and taken to the orphanage and stuff like that. So I mean, he's the only one I really care about.
But Warren Beatty really does play it bland, though. He just does a really bland leading man
He's not the right person for this role. First of all, he's too old. We could talk about that. He's too old. He's like 53 at the time.
Yeah.
And he's too old, and he is someone he's very handsome. He's very charming. He's got like a dark side to him. And Dick Tracy isn't those things. He's
right.
I guess like the baggage that comes with Warren Beatty doesn't work for Dick Tracy. But what I want to go back to what you were saying about the bad guys. And this is maybe because I don't understand comic book world as well, so maybe David's going to have to explain it to me. But in this,
I'm a geek resource here. let me pull out my encyclopedia.
In this city, everyone, don't you just know instantly who bad guys are because they are all deformed? There's no deformed like cops that are good guys.
Oh no,
this is my friend Helping Hand Hank, and it's someone with like giant hands. You would know he was a good guy or something like that. But like everyone else is, when your name is Prune Face and you look like a giant prune, well, you know he's a bad guy.
No, because the guy listening in on the conversation, he had gigantic ears.
Did he?
Right.
So yeah, he had really big ears.
See, I missed that. Okay, this is helpful to me.
But it's kind of funny though,
I was thinking like you don't have to be like Minority Report here to figure out who bad guys are. It's like...
the days of like, oh, we're gonna name this evil character after his deformity, those days are kind of past.
Right.
You can't really.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, Captain Hook. Oh, sure. Just point out the hook. Thanks. A lot. Cool. You look like a prune. Like you can't really do that. But the comic.
This is Littleface. My name is Steve. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Jerry. But I thought their fate, like that's the whole thing of the comic book though. Like Flat Top looks amazing. Like they so look like the drawings and part of the humor, because all the bad guys are, they have no personality other than what they look like. So their faces are all kind of ridiculous, but they're really fun drawings. And I think in terms of makeup and costume and stuff like that, like I feel like the bad guys are the best part of the whole movie. They're by far the most entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I think the scenes at the nightclub, there's too many of them.
Yeah.
And it's too much of a downer. I mean, there's a lot of ballads and a lot of torchy kind of songs. I think, like I said, Madonna looks beautiful. I think she's never looked more beautiful. I think like he knew how to film her and light her, but I think the songs are just a little bit out of her league.
Yeah.
And you didn't need that many songs.
No. Well, if you got Sondheim, you're going to get.
Well, that's
you're going to try to use as much as you can, but still.
That's the stuff that reminds me of like older movies where we watch a lot of old movies here in this house, and one of the things that I notice in old movies is how they shoehorn in like musical numbers. Like they're always going to like nightclubs and seeing like somebody sing. You'll see like Lena Horne singing or Ella Fitzgerald. There's like all the Cab Calloway like singing in the background of these movies, and so like those scenes actually kind of reminded me of like those old movies, and I wondered if I appreciated this movie a little bit more now because I've seen more old movies that this was trying to, I don't want to say rip off, play homage to.
Well, they're trying to be different from the Batman movie, and Batman had those really cheesy Prince songs.
Yes.
So they were going. Sondheim was a good direction to go. I just thought there was way too many montages of a Sondheim song and then shooting in cars going by.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Oh, there's so many. There's so many montages. And I think like some of it's just like, I think they cared about the look of it so much, which is also what happened with Batman in '89. I mean, the look of it was super specific and special to that movie, but they forgot about a script. And
Right.
I think they forgot about just giving people things to do and making us care about them. And like I tell you guys, like I was the only one who cared about was Charlie Korsmo this time. He's the only one. Like I just thought Dick Tracy was bland. And I think that's just Warren Beatty's ego. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to direct this thing and star in it and do everything because I'm still handsome and I'm stooping with, Madonna on the side. So why not?
So I need to mention this. When we were watching the movie, I said to David, like, this is the same year that Truth or Dare came out. And I said, Madonna was a huge star. And I said their relationship was like big news. It was like super, like all over the tabloids. And he's like, Madonna and Dick and Warren Beatty were a thing. And I was like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, David, they were totally a thing. Like, everybody knew about it. And he's like, I thought she was married to Emilio Estevez. And I was like,
that's Demi Moore.
I was like, that's Demi Moore. And I was like, she was married to Sean Penn. And like, we just went like down a whole other rabbit hole where David's like, I don't know any of this. This was all news to him.
Yeah. And I never saw Truth or Dare because I'm straight male.
Yeah, that was marketed to gay men and women, and just women and gay men. I think,
and it totally worked.
And she did. Yeah, and I think, but in the movie, Warren Beatty's always kind of covering his face and complaining about the fame, and it's like, then get away from the camera, dum dum.
Also, don't go out with Madonna, who fucking loves this shit. Like she loves it. I did show David the scene where he kind of makes fun of her, like where he was like, "What's the point of?" existing off camera or something like that. I was like, you need to at least see that part, David. So we just went and found it on YouTube.
That, and you have to see the scene where she makes fun of Kevin Costner.
Oh yeah, we watched that too.
Yeah, we saw that.
Because the scene right before that, she goes, that's Al Pacino, Mandy Patinkin, James Caan. Like, everybody from the Dick Tracy set went to her concert that night, apparently. That's, yeah.
And then he comes in and he's like, I thought your show was kind of neat. She was kind of a bitch to him, actually.
Oh, she was a total C word, yeah.
I think it also kind of showed how, because we kind of take for granted the femme fatale roles, and I think we take for granted that that's actually a tougher role to do than people give it credit for, like with Veronica Lake and Lauren Bacall and stuff like that. Like Madonna tried her best, but boy, did she not do it. Like Jessica Rabbit did it better 2 years prior.
Yep, totally.
Like Jessica Rabbit killed it.
And that's Kathleen Turner's voice
Rabbit.
too. Yeah, well, Kathleen Turner just used her voice really like to help sell the material. I mean, because she was really, I think Madonna, like, especially when she's talking, I find her very, in a movie, she's very uncomfortable. She's always just like trying to hit her marks, trying to do everything. Like, I'll say this again, she looks beautiful. I mean, the costumes are great. The nightclub scene, she looks beautiful. Mandy Patinkin looks beautiful, but it's such a downer, and she's not up for it when she's crawling all over the desk and stuff. Yeah. I was like, oh, it's like she did that shit in videos. Like that's from Like a Virgin. Like it's not new.
Well, and the stuff with Madonna in this movie, I actually wondered, how is this movie PG? Because pretty much everything about Madonna is not PG. Like at one point she's wearing a see-through robe and I'm like, I'm pretty sure you could see her boobs through that. That's fine. I don't care. I don't care if like kids see boobs. It's not that big a deal to me, but I'm like, I'm fascinated. Like, and just the stuff about like, I don't know, there's all these like double entendres as she says that are, I was like, ooh.
And all the murders.
And a lot. Oh, and the violence. Oh, and that.
Yeah, the casual violence that exists.
A little gruesome, maybe, for PG, I think. Also, I'm fascinated that Warren Beatty, the man who, like, was so instrumental in Bonnie and Clyde and directed Reds and starred in Shampoo, directs this, like, PG comic book movie. I just think that's so interesting.
I also got to say, I feel like Danny Elfman just totally phoned it in on this.
Oh like my God, the score is terrible.
I wrote that
He just
down
went
too.
back to the well, and every action sequence, it really just might as well have been the Batman music. Like, why even bother?
Well, it doesn't work for this movie.
Not
because the movie's trying to go for this like old-fashioned retro look and feel, and the score is like super modern.
Right.
It's terrible.
But the Madonna numbers are old fashioned. So it's like he wasn't the right choice for this either.
Once in a while,
Nope.
he'd kick into like the do 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 do, like a little bit of a 40s thing, but I don't know. I thought he really did not do a good job on this. It may have showed the limits of his range at the time because he was new to soundtracks.
That's
but
true.
Yeah.
And you get Mandy Patinkin, and he barely got to sing.
He barely sings. He's just moping around behind the keyboard.
I know. It's like,
covering up his face.
What a
I know. I felt the
waste.
same way. Yeah.
it's a waste of him.
And even add to it, like there's some shots where it's an action sequence. You've got the Danny Elfman thing, but then the cinematographer literally does what's called a Batman shot with like the camera kind of off kilter a little bit.
Yeah.
like that's literally called a Batman shot. So like you really are just trying to cookie cutter Batman here. Even the ending at the bridge, it's like it could be a cathedral, it could be the bridge, it could be whatever is your third act when you're dancing with the devil with a
In the pale moonlight.
disfigured face eating walnut shells.
I thought it was interesting because I of course I went back to read the reviews, and every single person that reviewed at the time had to mention Batman. Like it just was like, I forgot what a big phenomenon Batman was the year before.
Batman
and how
was
that affected the
huge.
marketing of everything after that.
Yeah, Batman
Yeah.
played at my theater, and it was insanely popular all summer long, and it's all everybody was talking about, and people were seeing it multiple times, and it was huge. And then after that, every studio wanted their Batman.
They were looking for that. They were looking for their franchise. So there was like the Saint, and
yeah.
and they still do it. Like every few years, you'll have
Rocketeer.
the Rock-a-who. Yeah, that movie's
Underrated
also
movie.
cool. Yeah,
The Shadow. We got the
Terrible.
the
Shadow.
Shadow.
What was the other? The Phantom.
Phantom, that was a terrible
Mhm.
movie.
I could keep going.
Yeah, they were really going
Yeah.
after like 30s radio show or 30s
Yeah.
comic book stuff for new material and couldn't do it. Isn't there a Green Hornet movie?
Yeah.
Well, there,
That was with
more
Seth.
recent.
That was more recent. I think it was with Seth. Who am I thinking
Seth
of?
Rogen, right?
Seth Rogen, not Seth Meyers. Seth Rogen.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't remember how I felt about the Phantom, but I remember liking the Rocketeer, thinking it was okay.
Yeah.
But
It's cute.
it's fine. It's not offensive.
Yeah.
They really tried to merchandise Dick Tracy, and of course it didn't do well. So if you want to get some cheap Breathless Mahoney action figures, eBay is your place. Like that, they were really hoping.
Yeah,
And
well,
that
you know,
was-
and Madonna did a whole album, and or maybe it was an EP, but it was called "I Am Breathless."
Yeah.
And like I said, I worked at the mall at the time, and you played top 40 radio at the time,
Yeah.
and they played her music nonstop, and she had a song called "Hanky Panky."
Oh yeah. I remember.
Don't you like a good spanky?
Mhm.
It was really classy.
I need a hanky panky, hanky panky. Like
Oh,
it's all very 40s.
Yeah.
But Vogue was on that album too, and Vogue was huge, still very popular.
She's still very popular.
Yeah.
I mean, she was in it for the long haul. We didn't know that.
I did love when Breathless shows up at the police station, and she brings her own champagne.
Yeah.
She just brings her own bottle of champagne to the police station. I'm like, why not? Why wouldn't you? I would.
Yeah.
She's got it.
I do. It's such a bummer because the movie just looks so good to me. Like that kind of adds to the disappointment because if you had a good script and a little better choices in terms of lead and femme fatale, I think like the sets and the background paintings and the costume, like it was so good, so unique.
And
But
it's one of the last I read. It's the last movie to not use CGI. It's like all practical effects. So
Yeah.
one of the last major American studio blockbusters to have no computer generated imagery.
And the
pretty
matte
cool.
paintings are actually really, really famous in the industry. Like that's one of those things that people always bring up. It's kind of up there with like Blade Runner in terms of art direction. Dick Tracy, despite the content,
Yeah.
it's always
Right.
it's always kind of considered a real accomplishment.
This
But
movie's
it was
gonna
funny
be
because,
40 years old.
pardon?
This movie's going to be 40 years old next year. That doesn't
Mm.
make me feel old. Just saying.
Well, we'll
Are
just
you
have to go
sure?
see the
Or,
remastered
or
version.
30. I'm sorry. 30 years
Oh,
old.
God.
Hello,
Okay.
math. Hi, math is hard. I meant 30.
Chico. Chico State, represent.
Math is not my jam. I meant 30. Damn it.
So when I first started, I was a tour guide at Universal, and when I first started, almost the entire back lot was still painted up to look like was for Dick Tracy. So like the police station, a bunch of like New York Street, and there's another street called Brownstone Street, and it was all super cool and colorful and amazing. But we weren't allowed to. It was verboten. We weren't allowed to give credit to the movie. We weren't allowed to say what it was for, but it was blatantly obvious what it was for.
Is it because it wasn't a Universal movie? You're only allowed to talk about Universal movies, or?
No, we could talk about anything. It's just Universal. We couldn't say anything Disney. Universal did not like Disney.
Got it.
Oh, yeah.
They'd take their money for shooting, but we would not give any extra marketing. So we couldn't say anything that was Disney. We couldn't say anything that was Touchstone. We could say Hollywood Pictures because people didn't make the connection. But yeah, Disney was a big. You couldn't mention any Disney movie or anything as part of the tour. So
That makes sense, though.
Did people ask
Yeah.
about it though every time?
I don't remember anyone asking. And I kind of wonder, like, one of the reasons like people say, I'm not sure if this is 100% true, but I guess one of the reasons for them hating each other or Universal hating Disney was that Michael Eisner was head of Paramount, and Universal approached Paramount with the idea of building a Hollywood Studios Florida. And they showed him blueprints and ideas and all this stuff, and Paramount passed, Eisner passed, and then Eisner went over to Disney, and then amazingly, MGM Disney pops up in Florida with plans that look
Wow.
like. So they had to go back to the drawing board and completely redesign the park. That's the story. I don't know how much truth there is to it,
Right.
but I could see it being true.
We spread rumors here all the time, so that's
Yeah.
fine.
David
Yeah.
has really good Universal Studio Tour stories. That's probably a whole separate podcast.
That was one of my dream jobs when I was a kid. I never did it, but I always wanted to. I hear it's a great job.
It was a good gig. Yeah, you could. The thing that was cool about it at the time is that, well, the tour used to be a lot longer, but you could personalize it. You had a little bit more stuff you could do, but also you could make appointments on your off days to visit pretty much any part of the studio you wanted, because people just assumed that you wanted to use that as a stepping stone to doing other stuff. So I got to go to the art department. I got to go see
Oh, wow.
inside, some of the sound stages, and it's kind of like a big open thing to you. I think they've made it much more difficult now, but at the time it was really a great opportunity. But yeah, they don't pay you.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you're not getting paid much, but it was a good experience for sure.
Tell your John Landis story.
Please.
He didn't do Dick Tracy.
No. Actually, he was one of the candidates for director at one point.
He could be on What a Creep.
He totally could.
Yeah, he had 3 people killed on his set.
Yeah, and because of that, we weren't now allowed to point him out on the tour. His offices were on the lot. And so while I was giving a tour, he came out to the tour. And generally, if a celebrity or a director, someone comes up, if they wave to the tour guide, that means they're giving you permission to introduce them to the people on the tram. So what John Landis would do, and he did to me, is he came up and he's wearing his baseball cap, beard, he's a director. He's wearing the uniform.
He's wearing the uniform.
Yeah.
He's wearing the director uniform, waves at me and smiles, just looking at me to see if I would point him out. Because if I pointed him out, I would be fired. So
Dick.
What?
he was doing it just to
He's like testing people.
test me. Yeah, just to test. So that's
Well, that's-
kind of.
That's so shitty.
And yeah, we're getting.
That's so shitty.
Yeah, no, we're not getting paid. I forget what I was getting. $12 an hour, $10 an hour. Like it wasn't.
And he's just
wasn't
he's just trying to cost people their jobs
Yeah, he was just
for no
he was-
reason other than
for
he's
no
just a
reason.
dick.
Yeah.
Fuck John Landis. I mean, let's talk about something else. Fuck him.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Trading Places.
Actually, isn't his son a dick too?
His son's pretty gross, and Max Landis is his name.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Me Too stuff about him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Something going on in that family.
Yeah, there's some bad gene going on being passed around.
I won't go to their family functions.
Hell to the no.
No. So I read that John Landis was one of the directors attached. I also read that at one point Steven Spielberg was attached, that Richard Benjamin was attached, and that Walter Hill was attached, and that Walter Hill wanted to make like kind of a gritty, like more violent Dick
Yeah, like
Tracy.
the Warriors.
City.
Yeah, like Warriors, because Walter Hill did the Warriors and he did 48 Hours.
Yeah, no, he would have like boobs and
Yeah.
baseball bats and the baseball furies and
But he's the one who cast Warren Beatty. You know, what's his face? The guy. Warren Beatty. And but Warren Beatty really wanted it to be like comic booky and not that. So I guess he kind of pushed Walter Hill out, is what I read.
doesn't shock me.
No. And then I also read that a couple of people were attached to star at various points, including Harrison Ford, Richard Gere, Tom Selleck. I feel like Tom Selleck's attached to everything at some point.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Mel Gibson, because we want our Dick Tracy to be a real fucking creep, apparently. He blames like all the crimes on the Jews. That would be Mel Gibson.
I can actually picture
all
Mel
the
Gibson
bad
being
guys
pretty
make
good.
up that gives them like bad Jewish stereotype looks.
Also, fuck Mel Gibson.
Yeah. Check out our show, What a Creep.
Yes. The movie was also nominated for 7 Oscars, which pretty big deal for a comic book movie. It won 3 for Best Original Song for Sooner or Later, I Always Get My Man. It's pretty, it's a fine song.
It's fine.
Best Makeup and Best Art Direction. And then it was also nominated for Al Pacino for Best Supporting Actor, which I find fascinating. Cinematography, Best Sound, and Costume Design.
I loved his quotes.
Because they're all just kind of slightly wrong.
All completely wrong. Yeah, Nietzsche, Jefferson.
No. Yeah, that was funny. Actually, I enjoyed his performance. It's over the top and he's chewing the scenery, but I think he's having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
only one having fun.
The rest of them, their faces are immobile. Like I can't tell if they're having fun or not.
I think Dustin Hoffman was having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was his name Mumbles?
Mumbles. Yeah. Yeah.
Renema.
What were some of the names we had? We had Mumbles, Flat Top, 88 Keys, Lips,
The Rodent.
the Spud.
Itchy.
Prone face.
Itchy was my nickname in high school.
That reminds me of is it a Daffy Duck cartoon or Bugs Bunny? Neon Noodle.
Oh yeah, Duck Tracy.
Duck Tracy.
Yes,
That's the best
Neon
Dick
Noodle.
Tracy adaptation. Period.
I think so too.
Duck
It's the
Tracy.
funniest. Yeah, that's the most enjoyable.
Snake Eyes. It's got
Yes.
2 dots.
Oh my God, let's watch that after this. So funny.
Really good.
So when I was looking around in the Oscar nominations, one of the other songs that was nominated, Blaze of Glory from Young Guns 2. Such a rad song. Shot down in a blaze of glory. It's such an awesome song. I would much rather sing that song than Sooner or Later. No offense, Madonna, but Blaze of Glory is a better song. I also read that they wanted to make a couple, like Warren Beatty keeps mentioning the idea of sequels, but I would hope that he would recast because he's definitely too old at at this point.
Oh, like he's still talking about doing another one?
As of like 2016, he went to some Comic-Con and suggested that there would be a sequel. And I'm like,
Oh, and the audience had laughed hysterically and said, "What are you even talking about?"
like, is this April Fool's? No, Warren Beatty, you are too old for Dick Tracy. Maybe he just meant like they would make another Dick Tracy. It couldn't be him. He's too old. And he's in his 80s now, right? He can't even be trusted to announce the Best Picture winner.
No, or Faye Dunaway, bless her heart. She's another creep, supposedly.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else we want? Oh, I did want to mention. So Tess Trueheart's mother in this movie is played by Estelle Parsons.
Oh yeah.
Who won the Oscar for Bonnie and Clyde. So I love that that Warren Beatty can play like the romantic leading man of this movie, but someone who's the same age as him, Estelle Parsons, is playing like his love interest's mother. I'm like, oh, Hollywood.
Yeah, well,
very Hollywood.
Very Hollywood. You know, The Graduate.
Yeah.
And Anne Bancroft was only a few years older than Dustin Hoffman. Mrs. Robinson.
Mm-hmm. Don't ever change Hollywood. You're crazy. Do we have anything else we want to say about Dick Tracy? David, you picked this. Did you have...
Yeah.
This was your pick.
No. I know. I appreciate that I got to pick something and be on it. No, it's just still a bummer. 30 years on, still disappointing. Close but failed.
I think I liked it a little bit more than both of you guys.
I think together you liked it more than us.
I like the look.
Yeah.
I love the opening. The opening with the stop motion and the buildings was awesome.
I was pretty entertained, but it's definitely flawed. I think I was just more impressed with the look and I really like Glenne Headley as Tess Trueheart. I felt really bad for her when she caught Dick Tracy kissing Breathless, and she's really sweet, and I like the kid a lot. I don't know. I hate
the whole Breathless Mahoney art.
Yeah.
I hate her being the whole plot is terrible. Like that's probably the most disappointing thing.
Agreed.
Do you think that stuff would have worked better if it hadn't been Madonna? Like if they had cast like someone who could like really, really act in that part.
I think Kim Basinger at the time, but obviously she already just did Batman, so what am I talking about? But I think her or Annette Bening would have been good. I think honest to God, anybody else. Yeah. I think, but Madonna brings in the kids. Madonna would bring in the gays and the kids.
That's true.
Yeah.
This is all true. Because you never understand why Breathless Mahoney likes him so much.
Oh, no, she wants to climb him. Like, I didn't understand why Madonna liked Warren Beatty so much, to be honest with you, back at the time.
Yeah.
He was a lot older than her.
Yeah. I mean, he was 50-something. She was early 30s.
Yeah.
And then after that, she was really hot for Antonio Banderas, but he was married.
He was married at the time. And then after that, she started going really young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good for her if she can do that.
I think so, too.
Do you guys want to hear about the top 10 movies of 1990?
Yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so number 10, Kindergarten Cop.
I love that movie.
It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor. I admit, I love that stupid movie. It's lame. I love it.
So, back to another Universal story.
I love it.
Yeah?
I was actually on one of those days where I took the time to visit the studio stuff. I went into Soundstage 28 where they did Phantom of the Opera because that's one of my favorite old movies. And the set was all up for Kindergarten Cop. That's when they were.
And did you see Arnold?
No, I just saw the set.
But
that was cool though. I like seeing.
No, that is cool. I think that's cool.
It is cool. So number 9, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
That's a comic book movie.
It is.
Number 8 was Presumed Innocent. Did you ever see that one with
Harrison Ford?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I remember thinking it was all right. I remember even reading the book, which is
unheard
of for me. Number 7 was Die Hard 2.
Right.
I'm like, it's fine.
As my dad would say, that's when they kill all the people on the plane. Like, yep, Dad.
That's the one.
All those people died.
That's one where he just lights the mat. He just lights the.
Yeah.
While the planes take. That's how it wins. That's how he wins.
Yeah. No, but my dad always think, I remember my father about that. He goes, that's sort of like they let all the people just die on the plane.
Yeah. You're not supposed to think about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 6 is Back to the Future Part 3. Not good. That's a thing to see.
It had some moments.
Yeah.
Oh, are you you're a defender of Back to the Future?
You're a defender
3?
of the trilogy?
I love Back to the Future 1 and 2 for sure, but
you love the second one?
I can't
do
take the
like
second
the
one.
second top.
Oh, I hate it.
Ooh, this might be our first fight, David.
Ooh.
No, I'm just kidding.
Really?
And I just don't care about Back to the Future 2 or 3, to be honest.
When 3 came out, we had like a premiere on the lot, and we watched a marathon of 1, 2, and 3, like one right after the other, in one of the studio theaters. And so maybe I was a little
Yeah, no, that sounds
persuaded because
pretty
that was
sweet.
a fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might want to
I like
revisit.
ZZ Top in it. Yeah.
That's it. That's all it is. You just really like ZZ Top.
Well, I mean, the second one, like, what's his name's always good. The villain,
Biff?
who's Trump.
Biff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Like, that
basically
guy's-
Trump.
He's funny in all of it. He was good in all of them.
I don't even want to go back to it. Sorry.
All right.
All right, you're wrong. I'm just saying. No, I'm kidding.
That's cool.
I don't care. Number 5, Total Recall. That movie's rad. Now David's gonna be like, "Fuck that movie." He's gonna shit all over it.
I just like that he's completely exposed to the atmosphere of Mars, and then he just walks in, like, straightens his tie. Well, that was close. Totally fine.
You
No,
know,
it's a fun movie.
don't go to those movies for realism, I guess.
No, it was a funny movie. It was a fun movie, though.
Number 4 is Dances with Wolves.
Yep, we've talked about that.
Yeah, that movie was very popular. I'm surprised
Yeah.
it's actually only number 4. It went on to win like Best Picture and Best Director, and I actually like Dances with Wolves, but people love to shit on it. But I actually really like it. I understand, like, the Goodfellas came out the same year, and that's the movie that everybody loves, and Goodfellas is great. But I also love Dances with Wolves. I can like both.
You
It's
can.
okay. Speaking of problematic, number 3, Pretty Woman.
Boy.
My mother's favorite movie.
It is your
Yeah,
mother's.
that was my mother's favorite too.
She wore the VHS tape out watching it so much.
My mom had the soundtrack, played it all the time because she just wanted to think about Pretty Woman. She just loved that movie so much.
I remember the soundtrack playing everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Margo, you and I have talked about this movie before, about how a movie went from fine to problematic to fine again.
Yeah.
Because it was like, you see it and you're like, oh, that was cute, that's fine. And then you rewatch it later and you're like, she's a prostitute. That's weird. That's a weird love story. And now you're like, no, she's a sex worker and she's making her own decisions. That's fine.
Yeah, the power dynamics are different. Yeah.
So number 2, Home Alone.
Which I love.
Everybody loves Home Alone.
I love it.
And then number 1 was Ghost.
Oh, wow. I forgot how popular that was, but that was super popular.
I knew it was super popular. I didn't realize it was the number 1 movie that year. Patrick Swayze.
R.I.P.
And Demi Moore's gorgeous in that movie. So cute.
And Whoopi Goldberg's great.
Yeah.
She's really good in it. Yeah.
She's really, really good. Do we want to hear about the top 10 songs?
Yes, we do.
So you'll love this one. Number 10, Blaze of Glory, John Bon Jovi.
Yes! Song's awesome.
These are all songs I heard all day long because they play them at the mall.
Mhm.
Cradle of Love, Billy Idol.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Hold On by En Vogue.
Oh, for some
It's
reason,
a good song.
I thought I thought you were going Wilson Phillips, but
Just hold on.
okay.
Another Day in Paradise, Phil Collins.
That
the one
song's-
about homelessness, which is so much fun.
Such a fucking bummer song.
And it solved everything.
It did. We don't have any homelessness anymore.
Vision of Love, Mariah Carey.
I love that song.
Me too.
I still love that song.
Me too. Vogue by Madonna.
Mm-hmm. Huge hit.
Huge hit. I love the song Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe.
One of my favorite songs. Still on
one of my jams.
Yep. Still on on many playlists.
Nothing Compares to You, Sinead O'Connor.
That's
great song.
David,
that is a good song.
I was just going to say David didn't chime in on any of these because he hates. David literally hates every one of those songs except for except for the Sinead O'Connor song.
Which is a Prince song.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a Prince song. It Must Have Been Love, Roxette, talking about the Pretty Woman soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
And then the number one song of 1990, Hold On by Wilson Phillips.
That's so crazy that would be the number one song of the year. Because it's fine.
I was watching MTV at different times than when these were playing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you were watching 120 minutes?
Yeah.
Probably 120 minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
What was the heavy metal show? The
Headbangers Ball.
Headbangers Ball. When Nirvana showed up and
changed
Kurt
everything.
Cobain dressed and he dressed up in a prom gown and what was his name? Ricky Rathman? What was his name? The guy that was a
something
host?
like that.
And he was so resentful because he could tell that his hair metal days were going away and grunge was going to be big. And he hated Kurt Cobain, and Kurt Cobain did not give a shit. It was wonderful.
Yep.
It was so good. Yeah.
Yeah, David, you were more of an alternative rock.
Yeah.
I was for sure, yeah.
I was super pop and R&B and all that shit. So every song you mentioned was my jam.
I listened to it every day at work for hours. So you had to, you're either going to go crazy or you give in,
It's true.
And Belle Biv DeVoe is pretty fucking great.
I love Belle Biv DeVoe.
Oh, they were good.
Wasn't that the year that the Peter Gabriel Us came out? Was that 90?
That's like 89. Yeah, 89, 90.
Let's look at Peter Gabriel, Us.
Well, some of the other songs, Michael Bolton, How Am I Supposed to Live Without You? This was what my mother would play this to drive my dad crazy because my dad hated that song.
I have a Michael Bolton story.
Ooh.
Kind of a Michael Bolton concert story, I should say. So the movie theater I worked at was playing, we had like a Michael Bolton, probably that CD actually, in one of the auditoriums. So I knew like all the songs because I was hearing it like over and over all day long for weeks and weeks and weeks. And my friend Amanda's mother thought we really liked Michael Bolton, and that's why we were always like singing it. And it's like, no, we were singing it kind of as a joke because we couldn't get the songs out of our head. So she bought tickets for us to go see Michael Bolton and Kenny G at the
my God.
at the Shoreline Amphitheater in Mountain View. And we didn't want to say like, no, we actually aren't really into Michael Bolton and Kenny G. So we went and I fell asleep. I made it through Michael Bolton, and then I made it through like a song from Kenny G, and then I full on fell asleep like on the grass at Shoreview.
I'm looking at
not a good moment.
I'm going through the top 100 and I'm trying to find stuff for David. There's Enjoy the Silence by Depeche Mode.
That's a good
song. That's
an awesome song. Skid Row's on here. No. Babyface, Michael Bolton. Wow. New Kids on the Block. Aerosmith.
David, what did you listen to in 1990?
I don't know. I must have been listening from stuff from the year before.
Yeah, I think so. Because there's nothing here. If there's Aerosmith, What It Takes. Oh
no,
my God,
I'm like
Motley Crue. Just a Friend, Biz Marquee.
That's a good song.
Ooh.
That's a good song.
David's like, I don't know who that is.
Yep.
I was in a wasteland at that time. Maybe I was listening to Led Zeppelin or.
Yeah.
Peter Gabriel's Us was 92.
Oh, okay.
Was it really? What was before that? Was it Sledgehammer? Was it called or?
Yeah, that's on
Sledgehammer.
But that one was in the 80s, right?
Yeah, so was like 88 or 89.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was like In Your Eyes was in that one too.
Yeah.
Poor David.
Oh, well.
No music for you.
I know.
Sorry,
That's
David.
okay. My grunge years were just on the horizon.
Yep, they were coming.
Were you guys both super grungy?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you were, David. Like, I've seen pictures of you in your flannel and your earring and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and Pixies.
Oh, the Pixies.
Pixies
I
are
love
big.
Pixies.
I love Depeche Mode. And, you know, I love Nirvana and all those bands. I saw them all at that time. Temple of the Dog and Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains, all that shit.
You were
Yeah.
you were a concert.
I was a
goer.
concert junkie. I went
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah. But I saw Nirvana when they opened up for a band called Tad, which everybody was all excited about at the time. And I thought, they're okay, but this opening band's really good. And like a year later, they're the biggest thing in the world. But all my
When
friends
did
were like,
Octoon-
Tad was great.
When did Octoon Baby come out? Was that in 89?
That's 89 or 90 as well. Octoon Baby, or 91 maybe.
I'm going to say 91, but I'm going to look
Yeah,
it up
that's a
for us.
90s thing. I love that album.
I used
So
to love that
good.
one too. 91.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
See, my time was just coming. It's just around
Yep.
the corner.
Yeah.
Transition.
Yep. It's heading your way, David.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else we want to say about Dick Tracy or music from the 90s?
I think we've worn people out.
Dick who?
Who? What?
Who? David, where can people find you on the internet?
Under a rock.
David is not very active on Twitter, I will say.
No. Twitter and Instagram. I'm Gashly Crumb, which is after the Gashly Crumb Tinies, which is a reference that no one will get.
That's not true. People get that stuff.
That's about it.
Yeah, and he actually is a really good photographer, so I would recommend following him on Instagram. And they're not just all pictures of our kid, but there's a lot of pictures of our kids and our pets. Margo, where can people find you?
On social media, you can find me at Brooklyn Fit Chick. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And my blog is brooklynfitchick.com.
And you can find both Margo and myself at What a Creep, where we talk about creeps. You should go listen. And you obviously like this show, so you should give us a review. Go to Apple Podcasts and give us a review, because that stuff, it matters to Apple. I don't know why, but if you give us a good review, it'll help us find more listeners. And you want us to be cool and popular, right? So help us out. And you can find Dorking Out at dorkingout.com and Dorking Out Show on Twitter and Facebook. And you can find me at The Sonia Show. What? What's wrong, David?
A call just came through, sorry, on my computer.
I didn't even hear it.
It was a
didn't hear
scam.
anything.
It was
I'll
a
do-
scam call.
Okay.
You can keep going. That's fun. That's a good ending.
Yeah, it's a great ending. And you can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter, and not so much on Facebook. And this was super fun talking about Dick Tracy. I actually really like talking about Dick Tracy with David Tracy and my good friend Margo. This was fun.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
It was super fun to talk with you guys.